For nearly 2 decades, Google Street View has been steadily expanding across the globe. What started in 2007 as a small experiment in a handful of cities in the United States has grown into a massive digital mirror of our planet. Cameras mounted on cars in California evolved into a global fleet that has mapped millions of miles of roads across more than 100 countries. But when you zoom out and look at the Street View coverage map as a whole, you begin to notice something deeper. This is not just a technology project. It is a reflection of economic strength, political decisions, infrastructure, inequality, and power. The places that are fully mapped, and the places that remain blank, tell a powerful story about the modern world. To understand how Street View became a global phenomenon, we need to begin in North America, the region where it was born and where it remains most complete. In the United States, Google has captured almost every public road, roughly 4.1 million miles in total, from dense cities like New York and Los Angeles to rural highways stretching across the Midwest. Coverage is extensive and detailed. Canada also has broad coverage, especially in populated southern regions, while Mexico features strong mapping in urban centers and along major roads. The reasons are clear. These countries have well-developed road networks, stable governments, strong legal frameworks, and high internet penetration. They are also major markets for Google's advertising and digital services. With high GDP per capita and strong consumer economies, mapping these regions makes financial sense. Europe presents a similar picture. From Portugal to Poland, most countries are covered extensively. Western European nations, such as France, Germany, and the United Kingdom, have had Street View for years. Even many Eastern European countries now display widespread coverage. Europe's high urbanization rate, advanced infrastructure, and strong tourism industry all contribute to this. While the European Union enforces strict privacy laws, Google adapted by implementing automatic blurring of faces and license plates. In some cases, homeowners requested their properties be blurred as well. Despite these regulations, Street View remains widely available across most of the continent. When we shift our attention to Africa, however, the contrast becomes striking. Large portions of the continent remain blank on the Street View map. There are notable exceptions. South Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, and Senegal have coverage in major cities and tourist regions. But vast rural areas and entire countries remain unmapped at street level. Several factors explain this. Many sub-Saharan African nations face high poverty rates and limited infrastructure. Paved road networks are often sparse outside urban centers. Political instability in some regions makes large-scale mapping difficult or risky. Additionally, from a business perspective, these markets may generate less advertising revenue compared to wealthier regions. Asia presents a mixed and complex pattern. Highly developed economies such as Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, and Singapore are deeply mapped. These countries have advanced infrastructure, high income levels, and strong technological adoption. Their dense urban environments and large populations make them attractive markets. But not all of Asia follows this pattern. China, despite being the world's second largest economy, has no official Google Street View coverage. This absence is not due to technical challenges. Instead, it stems from political restrictions. Since 2010, many of Google's services have been heavily limited or blocked in China. Mapping and geospatial data are treated as sensitive state assets, tightly controlled by the government. As a result, the blank space across China reflects deliberate political decisions rather than underdevelopment. India offers another interesting case. For years, the Indian government blocked Street View, citing national security concerns, particularly after the 2008 Mumbai attacks. Authorities feared that detailed images of roads, government buildings, and sensitive sites could be misused. Early pilot projects were halted, and nationwide expansion was rejected. Only in 2022 did India begin allowing Street View again, but under strict conditions. Instead of Google collecting data directly, local companies such as Tech Mahindra and Genesis International gather the imagery. Foreign firms must follow regulations that limit mapping accuracy and require partnerships with domestic organizations. The result is coverage that exists, but under tight supervision. South America falls somewhere between North America and Africa in terms of coverage. Countries like Brazil, Chile, and Argentina have strong mapping in urban areas and along major highways. However, poorer nations such as Bolivia, Guyana, and Suriname have partial or limited coverage. Economic differences help explain this divide. The region's average GDP per capita is significantly lower than that of North America and Western Europe. In addition, vast rural landscapes and dense Amazonian terrain make mapping expensive and logistically challenging. Oceania tells two very different stories. Australia and New Zealand, both wealthy and highly urbanized nations, are thoroughly mapped. Their road systems are modern, and their economies are strong. In contrast, many small Pacific Island nations have little or no street view presence. These countries are often remote, sparsely populated, and possess limited digital infrastructure. The cost of deploying mapping vehicles to small, isolated islands may outweigh the commercial benefit. But economics and infrastructure do not explain everything. In some countries, the absence of street view is primarily political. Belarus stands out as a clear example. Unlike neighboring Poland or Lithuania, Belarus has almost no street view coverage. The government maintains strict control over geospatial data and treats detailed mapping as a matter of national security. Internet freedom rankings consistently classify the country as restricted. In such an environment, allowing a foreign company to systematically photograph every street is unlikely. Across parts of the Middle East, conflict has also shaped the map. In countries like Syria and Yemen, years of war have destroyed infrastructure and made on-the-ground data collection dangerous. Surveying teams cannot safely operate in active conflict zones. Even when satellite imagery is available, high-resolution data may be restricted due to security concerns or sanctions. Political fragmentation can also lead to competing versions of maps, each asserting territorial claims. The long-running dispute over Kashmir between India and Pakistan illustrates how geography can become political. Official maps in each country depict the region differently. To avoid backlash, global map providers sometimes adjust borders depending on the user's location. In certain cases, users in different countries may see slightly different versions of the same map. At the same time, peaceful and stable Gulf nations such as Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, and Oman are well mapped and generally supportive of digital infrastructure. Stability and openness often correlate with broader mapping coverage. There are also vast regions of the world that lack street view, simply because almost no one lives there. Northern Canada, Siberia, Greenland, and the interior of the Sahara Desert contain enormous land areas with extremely low population density. There are few roads, minimal infrastructure, and harsh climates. Sending mapping vehicles into these environments would be expensive and offer little practical benefit. Even in technologically advanced countries, remote regions like Alaska's Arctic coast or Australia's central deserts remain largely unmapped beyond satellite imagery. In these cases, the blank spaces reflect human geography. Street view follows roads, and roads follow people. Beyond official mapping cars, there is another layer of street view, built by ordinary individuals. In regions where Google's vehicles never operated, users can upload 360-degree photos using smartphones or specialized cameras. These contributions do not create continuous street networks, but they provide glimpses into otherwise unseen places. In countries such as Saudi Arabia or Iran, individual users have uploaded panoramic images around major cities and landmarks. These photos demonstrate something important. Even where official mapping is limited, people still want to share their surroundings with the world. Ultimately, Google Street View is more than a navigation tool. It is a visual record shaped by economics, politics, infrastructure, freedom, and human presence. It highlights where wealth and connectivity are concentrated, and where gaps remain. The blue lines on the map represent more than roads. They represent permission, investment, stability, and demand. The blank spaces are not random. They are the result of deliberate choices, difficult conditions, or simple absence of population. As Street View continues to expand, it will likely fill in some of these gaps. But some areas may remain invisible for years, shaped by policies and priorities beyond technology alone. In the end, this global map is not just about seeing the world. It is about understanding how the world is organized, who gets mapped, who decides, and why. And sometimes, the most revealing part of the map is not what you can see, but what you cannot.